Hi folks. Well, I've been doing a bit of maintenance on my daily driver bike recently. My Yamaha YZF 600R Thundercat, and one of the things that I need to do, I've just got new tyres on it and changed the oil and so forth. But one of the things I need to do is I need to fit a new chain and sprockets. So I bought a new chain and sprockets off eBay to go on, but obviously I need to get the old chain off. Now, the bike that I had previously to the Thundercat was a Honda VTR 1000 Firestorm. Anyone that's had that bike might know that the swing arm is actually mounted on the chassis, which means that you can remove the chain in one piece just by lifting it off. You don't need to break the chain to get it off the bike. But on most bikes, the swing arm is mounted in the chassis, which means that you have to break the chain. You either have to remove the swing arm or you have to break the chain. Now, you can get these kind of like purpose-made chain breakers, and what you do is you grind the pins off, and then you put the chain breaker on, and you put a spanner or a socket on it, and you adjust it, and it's supposed to push the pin through. But in my experience, these things don't actually work in practice. They usually either can't push the pin through, or the tool itself will actually break before the pin goes through. I think on a really old chain, the pins tend to be kind of like seized and rusted in, and you can't really get them out realistically. So what I've been thinking about is how am I going to get the chain off the Yamaha. So what I thought might be the best option is actually just to cut right through the chain with a cutting disc. Okay, so this chain that you see here, this is not a chain off the Yamaha. This is a really old 530 chain. I think actually this came off the VTR 1000. In fact, I know it did because it was still in one piece in the old packet. As you can see, I bought an Ogni Bean chain for my VTR, and I have this habit of packing the old greasy chain away in the package for the new one, kind of thing. So anyway, this is an old 530 chain. I can't remember what brand it is. I have a feeling it might be something like a JT or something, but I couldn't say for certain. But it's a reasonably good quality chain, pretty kind of heavy chain. So what I've done is, as you can see, I've fixed it to my workbench with a G-clamp. Now I wanted to actually video the cutting process, but because I haven't really got proper kind of mounts and things sorted out from a VHO movie camera yet, I wasn't able to do that, so I'm just recording this on my BlackBerry phone as normal, as I usually do. So that's why I've not really got a recording of me actually doing the work. But I'll just kind of give a few details about, the job and how it went and that kind of thing. So I don't actually have a cordless grinder. What I've got is my power drill, which is a corded power drill. I pretty much always go with corded power drills. I'm not really a fan of cordless ones because I just find they don't seem to have the power, and I usually forget to sort of charge the battery before I need to use them, those kind of things. So I usually try and go with a corded power drill. So this is a power drill that I've had a while. It's not a fancy one. It's not an expensive one. It's B&Q's own brand. I think it's Power something or other. Can't remember. Let's have a look at the case and see if I can see what it is. Performance Power it's called, okay, which is basically B&Q's own brand of power drill. So it's just a cheap power drill. I think I paid about £25 for it or something. It's a 710 watt, just a normal kind of basic power drill. So I've got a cutting disc on here. This cutting disc is actually designed for I think it's actually designed for like an angle grinder or something, but what I've done is I've just got like an M8, I think it's an M8 bolt, and a couple of washers. In fact, no, I haven't used washers, I've just put the nuts straight on. As you can see, I've just basically bolted it on and then put the bolt into the drill. This is a real cheap real kind of cheap setup, so you're looking at like a 25 quid drill and a couple of pounds and a disc and a bolt and that, so it's really not expensive equipment by anyone's standards. So what I did was I've G-clamped it onto the table, as you can see, and started cutting through it, and I wasn't quite sure how long it was going to take to cut through, because I've done a fair amount of metal work, you know, with one thing and another. I've kind of worked with plate aluminium and plate steel and all the rest of it, particularly in building the CBR. But motorcycle chains are notoriously extremely tough steel. They're very, very hard steel. So I wasn't quite sure how quickly or easily the disc was going to go through it, but actually it pretty much went through it like a knife through butter. As you can see, I've actually, rather than cutting through the ends of the pins and then having to push the pins through, what I've done is I've actually just gone through the sides of the link, just gone straight through it. So if we undo this, let's see if I can get this G-clamp undone. I've done it up too tight, I'll need my mole grips. And what we'll do is I'll have an actual look at the chain. What am I doing? Am I tightening that? I was tightening it. Just slacken that off. And we'll have a look at the ends of the chain. Obviously it's not going to be a particularly neat cut, but that doesn't matter because you're just going to throw the chain away. So it's a really dirty, greasy old chain. Let's have a look at this. So you can see, video won't focus. See if I can get that to focus, or move out a bit. No, it doesn't want to focus. Right, okay, so basically you just got two fairly clean kind of cuts through there. Obviously it's made a lot of dirt, but that's kind of what you expect cutting through an old chain. I did one side at a time and it's gone through pretty easily. I would say it was probably about 5 minutes cutting each side, and it's also kind of gone through like the edges of the adjacent bits of the chain. Kind of made a notch in the side there. I wish I could get this camera to focus, but it won't focus. So that's pretty much it. So what I'm planning to do is when I change the Yamaha's chain, I'm just gonna like put the bike on a paddock stand, remove, loosen off the nuts on the sprockets front and rear before I cut the chain, because the chain helps to hold the sprockets in place so you can get the nuts done. Excuse me. Obviously I have to take off the chain guard and the sprocket cover and that to begin with, but that's not such a big deal. Loosen the nuts on the sprockets, cut through the chain, take the chain off, take the rear wheel off, take the sprockets off, replace the sprockets, and then put on the new chain. That's pretty much it really. I'm working night shifts at the moment. I've got to work the rest of the week, so I'm not going to be doing this until Monday next week. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and have my camera set up, my VHO camera set up on some kind of mount. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'll try and figure out some way to do it. And what I'll do is I'll actually make a video, a time-lapse video of myself actually replacing the chain on the Yamaha. Not 100% going to promise this because I don't know whether I can sort out the a mount for the camera, but we'll give it a try anyway and we'll see what happens. That's grand. Well, thanks very much for watching.